I feel like, the way to do that is just like it's bigger than that. You know what I mean? Like going out and like creating those relationships and helping people. Like I feel like it's much bigger than that, man. Like the dollar, like everybody
You know,
wants it, but
you, you know what it is?
what?
It's people wealth.
Yeah.
That's my wealth. My wealth is people wealth.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Creating Wealth Podcast, where I, Kyle, from Curtin Real Estate, interview local top dogs in the real estate investing, wealth building, and personal finance industries. Let's build together. What's up, guys? This week's guest on the podcast is doing some really great things in the real estate investment and real estate agent space in multiple different locations. In the final part of yet another two-part interview, we had an awesome conversation about some really great actionable topics that are much bigger than just real estate investing. In this second episode, we dig into the insane power of sending direct messages, building wealth through the idea of people wealth, tips for finding investment partners, and so much more. There are a few super valuable and actionable parts to this episode, and I hope you enjoy. Let's jump right into the episode.
My goal is to be the first brick and mortar NFT / crypto / metaverse real estate brokerage.
That's badass. That's so cool, man.
If everything goes well, and like I said, I got to educate myself. I got to practice first before I start practice with other people.
Yeah.
Then we figure out. I got crypto already. I got a couple NFTs. I'm working on buying a piece of lot on Decentraland. So let's see what happens.
That's
but once
so
I
cool,
master
man.
that, then I can go ahead and start teaching that and implement it to social media and everybody else.
Yeah. That's so cool, man. There's a couple things I want to touch on in there. So like one of the things that you mentioned earlier, was like just looking at like the bigger picture, of like having some of those conversations with, whether it's past buyers or like, people who aren't even like clients or anything like that, and just kind of introducing them into like the possibilities in investing in real estate. And like that's the craziest thing in the world, man. Like to have some of those conversations and be like, hey, like you're paying your full mortgage. Like, what if you had like, a couple more people, helping you out? And like, what if you only had to pay like a third of that? Or like, just kind of showing them like some of the pros and like, then the wheels kind of start turning in people's brains and stuff, and then like just kind of getting into it. Like, hey, like the possibility to be able to make you like a little bit more comfortable, or like, make your kids a little bit more comfortable, like, once this property's paid off, or like, having like this cash flow and stuff come in, and like just make paying your bills like a little bit easier, and like, I don't know, it's fun having some of those conversations, because like people like really start thinking like, oh, like maybe it's not as hard as, like I kind of thought it was. And like, just kind of looking at the bigger picture, and like, potentially changing like that person or like that family's lives like forever, like pick up a couple properties, who knows the possibilities, and like, I don't know, it's fun to kind of like, like everybody that like we have learned from so far, like in investors and stuff like that, and like picking up properties, and I'm obviously much newer to things, but basically just kind of like I look at it like continuing the cycle. So like, the people that teach you, like I want to give back to people that were in my position, like, a year or two ago, like 10 times more, and just kind of like keep the cycle going, and like, have those people teach people, like kind of bring people up with you, like as you're learning, and, just kind of like literally like changing lives altogether. It's just
funny because that's basically what I do. Like, I brought in my best friend and be like, dude, start, you got some money, you got a 6-figure income, start using some of that money to buy a investment property.
Yeah.
He did. I got another good friend of mine. He's in the process of doing the same thing. I'm like, dude, it's we got to come up. Like when I started real estate, when I started investment, and I started by wholesaling first. My first wholesale, I won't ever forget. My wholesale was 2 investors that I met on my first listing, and they were like, "Do you wholesale? You know how to wholesale?" Because I used to bring a lot of investment property, like crappy properties, to investors, and I didn't have the capital to buy myself yet, so I was just, I was just putting it on the market, selling it, and they're like, "Dude, you have a lot of like, why don't we just wholesale this?" I'm like, my broker back then knew wholesaled all the time. His partner wholesaled, half of the office wholesale, but they weren't teaching me the wholesaling part.
Yeah.
I was not allowed to learn. So it's like they had that wall for me, like, you can't learn. I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn.
Yep.
So these 2 investors said that with me, and they're like, all right, let's fucking do it. Like, what property you got coming? I'm like, well, I got this. And then one of them had a client looking for a specific property in Hyde Park. And they're like, hey, can you get us access to the property? It's on lockbox. So yeah, I called the broker, got the lockbox, went over there, opened it for them. I remember my first wholesale transaction was a $25,000 commission just by opening a door.
Can't beat that,
I
man.
didn't know about it. Honestly, I didn't even know about the check. It was like, I probably was like 4 or 5 weeks later. They go like, hey, let's go grab lunch. I was like, all right, sure, whatever. Let's talk business. All right, let's go talk business. You mentioned business. We're gonna go have a conversation. We went to lunch and they just slid me an envelope. I was like, what's in here? They're like, open it up. What the fuck? $25,000 made to me. I'm like, what's going on here? They're like, we wholesale the property. We made $75,000. Everybody get 25. It's 3 of us. I looked at both of them like, dude, I just opened the door. Like, really, this 25, it's basically your beginning for your empire.
Yeah.
I was like, thank you. Like, and what I did, I grabbed those 25,000. I had $5,000 credit card debt. I used $5,000 to pay that credit card off. $20,000 I used for my first flip.
Yep. It's beautiful, man. And like that was your principle. That was the starting point. Like if you can keep, recycling the principle.
I took their advice. I remember that you got 2 advice to take. 1, you invested, or 2, you're gonna go blow it in dumb shit because you're a shoe fan. Guilty of that, dude. I got over 30 pair of fucking shoes in my closet. Yeah. They're all either Salvatore Ferragamo or Christian Louboutins or Fendi's or Gucci's. It's like that's my addiction, dude. That shoes is my addiction. That's what I feel like. I got an email from Christian Louboutin yesterday, like, oh yeah, George, you haven't bought shoes in a few months. Are you interested in any? I'm like, yeah, I actually need a pair of boots.
Actually,
so
I would.
Thanks for reminding me. They're like, yeah, we got a sale coming. The private client sale is coming up in next week. I was like, yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah.
So they knew about that. They're like, we already know that you have, a freaking shoe collection. You spend thousands of dollars on shoes, but I was like, you know what? I'll take their advice, and I bought it, invested in a flip.
Of course, yeah.
So,
and like it's huge to have.
So yeah,
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm saying that's a good point. If you're in a shoe, your shoes could hold it and help somebody else that you think deserves it, and they'll pay it back, and they won't forget about you. Like I didn't forget about them until they said we still do business together.
Exactly.
There's once in a while there's a good deal that comes along, but like, hey, I know you got a buyer for this. Let's wholesale to them. Sure, if they make money, I make money.
Yep.
Why, if I can make $1, why can everybody else make $1?
Yeah.
Especially in investor and real estate. And as real estate, a lot of people are so ambitious just to have so much money. Hey, dude, why are you gonna have so much money if you're not gonna enjoy it? Like I know a lot of people who have, they're pretty wealthy, and they don't enjoy it. They don't enjoy life.
Yeah.
And then I know a lot of people who actually enjoy the life. They go out like every other week. They're out somewhere else in the part of the world. Like I would too.
Yeah.
I would too. If I had, if I was sitting on 7, 8, 9, 10 figures, I would be enjoying life every single day.
Yeah. No, honestly, man, like I think it's really interesting. Like I haven't figured out like a way to put it into words, but like from what I've kind of seen so far, in like the real estate industry, especially and stuff, and even like probably business in general, is like, everybody obviously wants to make money, but I feel like, the way to do that is just like it's bigger than that. You know what I mean? Like, going out and like creating those relationships and helping people, like it just, I feel like it's much bigger than that, man. Like the dollar, like everybody
You know,
wants it, but you know,
you know what it is?
what?
It's people wealth.
Yeah.
That's my wealth. My wealth is people wealth.
Yeah.
I know, for example, perfect example. I know a lot of people in New York. I know a lot of people in Connecticut, Rhode Island. I know I'm a pro ambassador for like Sariego. So I literally can reach out to over 8,000 people worldwide. So it's like if I go to Florida, I know a handful of people in Florida. Oh, a handful of realtors. I go to LA. I go to Dubai. I go to South Africa. Wherever I go to, it's like all you gotta do is just look at your phone and be like, hey, I'm in town. Let's go grab coffee.
Where are you?
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
knowing, having your connections, people wealth. To me, that's a good, important thing to have, and I'm really grateful about that whole Like Jorge membership that I did back when it first started. Now that I'm a pro ambassador, meaning I'm like one of the 10 that of the original pro members that have done a lot with Ryan personally. I've done business with Ryan, referrals from Boston to New York, vice versa, and Ryan has sent me referrals from New York to Boston to Connecticut. So it's like, it's everybody knows everybody. I literally could just walk in, start in the house, and be like, hey, what's going on? It's like, that's one thing about his brokerage is like you walk in there, dude, it doesn't even feel like an office. It just feels like you fit in perfectly.
Like a community.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's definitely a family community.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
That's huge, man. It's yeah.
So that's why when you mentioned that, I was like, yeah, your thing is people wealth, and that's very good of you. If you stick with that mentality, it'll go a long way.
It's just like it's like I said, it's like it's so much bigger than just the money, man. Like everybody wants the money, but like I feel like it's bigger than that. Like it's like creating those relationships and like, like even if like, talking back into kind of like the wholesale and little conversation that we had earlier, like, if of somebody who's getting rid of like a house or like a lead or something like that, and like one of your buddies or like, one of your clients or something is looking for that kind of thing, like just connect them, and like, like myself, like I would just get satisfaction out of like, helping out like a client or a buddy or something like that. And like, if you make money, cool. Like money's part of everything, but like, it's, you know what I mean? Like I can't really put it into words quite yet, but like,
you're basically saying, yes, we need money. We need money to live by, but money's not everything.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's 100%. You're 100% right. I remember I've said it to a few people that I know that are really wealthy, and they're like, dude, that's the mentality you got to change. Everything has to be about money, money, money. I'm like, I understand, but I understand where you're coming at, but I'm like, that's just not me. It's like, it's not me. It's just, I didn't grow up with that mentality of like, of greed. I'm not even sure if it's greed. Some people call it greed. Some people call it being ambitious.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just not me. Like,
I haven't either.
I won't pull somebody down on the floor over money. No.
Exactly.
I see a lot of people, fucking putting their people's name on the floor over money. And like,
no,
that's not me. That you do that says a lot about your personality. Because you're a piece of crap.
Yeah, exactly. Even like Gary Vee says it, man, because like I know you mentioned his podcast earlier. Gary Vee's totally changed my life in more ways than one, just from like absorbing his content and like, reading, crushing it and stuff like that. And like one of the things that he said that's really stuck with me is there's two ways to build the biggest skyscraper in town. You can either try and pull down everybody else to have the highest building, or you can just build the highest building, and like bring other people with you and stuff. And like, you can either like rip other people down to get to your vision, or you can just help other people and like get to your vision anyway, and like, it's just a principle that's kind of stuck with me, like all the time, honestly.
It's like a good saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, go with the team.
Exactly.
It's 100% true.
It is. It's just one of those things that like applying it to different parts of your business and like part of life and everything. It just, yeah, you're going to make it a lot further with people. And like, you got to make it like mutual and like, everybody's winning. Like you said earlier, like if I can make $1, why can't two other people make $1 as well? Like, and then like the relationships get stronger and, more business comes after that. And it just, I wonder if it's like relationships or like the people wealth, like, I wonder if that's like,
it's relationship wealth. That's what it is.
Yeah. And it's, it really is a crazy thing, like, especially with like social media and stuff, man. Like it's, I talked to a guy, or I interviewed a guy a while back, and he was doing real estate since like 1989, I think. And he was kind of telling the story of like what real estate looked like back then, or like real estate investing, I should say. Because obviously this is like pre-Instagram, pre-Facebook, like pre-email, probably, like, and like just hearing
pre-internet, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like having him tell the story.
I was born in '87, so I know. I remember when we got me and my sister got our first computer in the house. It was dial-up. Like my sister used to be on it all the time, and my dad was like, "Get off! I need to hop on the phone."
And like just having him tell the story, of like he was getting into flipping actually. Shout out to Jack Pinard if you're watching this. But having him tell the story of like what it took back then to like be able to create those relationships and stuff, and like like he was telling me what it was is there was like weekend seminars that would come into town once in a while, and they had like sets of tapes that you had to buy, and you had to like go into your car or something and like play the tapes to like, for us now it's like listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos and like, like you're one direct message away from talking to somebody and having a conversation. Back then, like, creating those relationships was a lot harder. Like just kind of looking at the transition of like what it used to be versus now. Even like Instagram, man, or like Facebook and stuff. You're literally like a couple clicks away from like making these relationships and hopping on the phone. Like there's so much value in it, like, and then like supporting people through like them documenting like their transactions and, some of like the big things that they're doing and stuff and like hyping them up. And like, I don't know, like I just feel like it's like after having him tell that story, like it's interesting to kind of see, what that looked like back then. And like, I guess how good we have it now. Like you're literally like, you can send a direct message like in like 5 seconds, you know what I mean? And like, just reach out, be like, hey, like I'd love to shoot the breeze with you or something. And,
you'd be amazed how direct messages work. I've shot DMs to a handful of influencers and they write back an email.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Now it's DMs is, I remember a lot of people like, yeah, how you got a hold of Matt and Ellie to come to Boston? DM.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Yeah. Sure. DM. I told them what it was. Hopped on the call. Hopped on FaceTime. Did I shot content with him on FaceTime. It's like holy shit. It's like, dude, the power of social media is surreal.
Yeah. Of course.
But obviously you have to have a purpose. Why are you gonna shoot them a DM? You're not gonna just send an influencer or a celebrity a DM like, "Oh my god, hi, I'm a big fan." No.
Yeah, exactly.
They gotta read it, or 95% of the time they won't even bother.
Yeah,
it has to have a good purpose.
Exactly.
And like open it up.
Yeah. And like those DMs get me, man, that are like just straight sales pitches, and I'm like, it's such a turnoff. Like if you just look for like just the relationship and like that's the intention and like, you really like what they're doing, like, just kind of want to, just kind of shoot the breeze, you know what I mean? And hey, like I really like what you're doing. I think it's kind of cool. I'm just kind of starting out. Like, would you want to potentially hop on the phone or something and just connect? Like the amount of like value. I used to do it all the time, actually. I don't do it as much anymore. I should keep doing it. But like Instagram, LinkedIn is another really big one for that. Because you can actually target like real estate investors in Greater Boston or Rhode Island or California. And
LinkedIn, it's huge. It's 100% for real estate professionals.
Oh yeah,
you'll be amazed the power of LinkedIn.
It's crazy. Even like just Biggerpockets, man. You know, like literally just putting in the search, like, oh, you know, Boston, and going to people, and like there's agents, there's flippers, there's wholesalers, lenders, you know, it's everybody's there. Like all you have to do is just reach out, you know, and like the power in it is infinite. It's unbelievable.
Yep. It's amazing. You'd be, you know, it's pretty amazing all the power you can get. Sorry, I'm just reading my emails.
No, that's okay. It really is, man, you know? So, George, I always like to try and throw this question in there because the answers are usually kind of interesting. So, how do you define wealth?
I think we went by that a little bit. Wealth to me is
a little bit, yeah.
Besides obviously having money in the bank and then money in the savings account, it's people wealth.
Yeah.
People wealth, generational wealth. It's learning more. I'm a big believer on education, so you have to educate yourself more and more and more. So that's a big wealth. The more you educate yourself, the more you learn, the more your wealth goes up. For example, you know, I'm licensed in 4 states. More licenses you have: general contractor, home improvement contractor, lead certified. So it's like I got so many licenses. So it's like I literally can make money on every single license I have.
Yeah.
So it's like that's another side of wealth. So it's definition of wealth is pretty big.
Pretty big, yeah.
To the average person, wealth is just, you know, you ask them what's wealth? Money. No. Wealth is health is wealth. Your health, your family, your kids, your future, your education, your businesses, your connections. That's wealth.
Yeah.
That's what wealth means to me.
I love that, man. It's stemming back to it, man. Like it's just so much bigger than money, like everything. Like it's like the relationship there is very interesting. You know, like I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's just like the focus, you know what I mean? Like if you're just focusing on money, like, you know, you might not be making the right decisions. It might not be sustainable. But if you're focusing on, can't speak. If you're focusing on other things like, you know, building those relationships and everything, and like, you know, the money as well, but like it's going to be a lot more sustainable. You know, like if you have those relationships, that leads to more business, which leads to more money. Yeah, you know, and like it's nuts. You know, it's like an inverse, like, yeah, it's hard putting it into words. Again, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, everybody has their own definition of wealth. You guys heard what mine is.
Yeah.
Just don't mind if I'm driving these.
No, that's all right, man.
Cool. So.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Ooh, what is your best piece of advice to new investors that want to start and manage their rental portfolio, or even like a new agent or something? It's up to you.
So I'll give you both. As a new agent, I would definitely try to join a team.
Yep.
When I started real estate, I was solo because teams weren't really a thing when I started. So it's I wish when I started I joined a team, but I basically have my own team as broker owner.
Yeah.
So, and that's one thing as a broker owner, as my brokerage, I don't treat my agents individually. We're basically all one. We all do business together. We all help each other out. So literally, like last night, it was 10:30. One of my agents was buying a property, and he called me. He had a whole bunch of questions about closing costs, and I sat with them for an hour, and we were just going at it.
Yeah.
So that's what a leader does, especially a team leader. You don't boss them around. You work with them. Yeah. So, and as an investor, first-time investor, what you should be doing, meet other investors. See if they're open to educate you or to help you out, or even to partner up. Now, partnering up for business, it's definitely tricky. You got to know the right person, but it's just like anything else in life. It's a risk.
Yeah.
Take a risk. If you're pretty good at reading people, I'm pretty good at reading people, just go for it. What's the worst that can happen? Shit don't go well, just get your money back and call it a day.
Yep. And then just go find that right person. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done it plenty of times. I partner with, a lot of people be like, "Hey, I want to partner with you on this flip. I want you to teach me. Well, let's do it. I'm open for it. But here's my rules. Have everything drafted by attorneys. Have everything drafted by attorneys, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So
So
you got a real estate that is going to back it up. Anything hits the fan, you got sell the house as is for whatever money you bought. You just put a little percentage if you could, or not. Just walk away with your profit with the money you put in, and that's all.
yeah. So there's something that I kind of wanted to ask you, stemming onto something that you just mentioned, actually. When it comes to like finding a partner, right? So like say, somebody came to you, or like, you kind of wanted to partner with somebody. Like, I know, I hear on like the Biggerpockets podcast sometimes that people do like disc assessments. Like, I guess when you're looking to partner with somebody, like, do you kind of tell them like, hey, this is what my vision is, like, this is kind of what the plan is. Like, how is it, I guess, kind of getting on the same page as them, and like seeing if you guys are going to be a good fit, and like, like if you want to hold it for the long term or something, and like this guy just wants to kind of, sell it fast or something and make like, a short term gain. Like, how,
So
I guess, how do you kind of like
that aspect?
Mhm.
And that aspect, you have to have. If you're gonna buy and hold, you're gonna have to find a partner that wants to do that. If
Yeah.
it's gonna be a flip, you're gonna have to find a partner that wants to flip. Then again, you could be flipping the property, and then you know what? I really want to hold it. Obviously, if you buy it the hard money loan, then what you gotta do is just refi cash out. You buy him out, and then you just keep putting on your LLC.
Yeah.
That's the best thing you can do. But to find the right partner, again, it's everybody's different. Like I said, I'm pretty good at reading people. I know when people are full of shit.
Yeah.
I know when people are straight shooters. So it's like, all right, let's do it together.
Yeah.
If you're coming to me and you're like, well, all right, let's buy this property. Call it $80,000, $100,000. We got to bring to the table. If you're putting half of it, that means a lot. Like, you're not talking about, hey, I only got 10,000 to put in. No, you're putting half, and I'm putting all that half. You're serious about it.
We're in this together. Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, $40,000 is still quite a bit of money.
Yeah. 100%.
So,
yeah.
That right there tells you, like, all right, if everything has to be 50-50, the cost of construction is 50-50, the cost of, acquisition is 50-50.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, man. Yeah. Because like, I don't know, like I hear people talk about like the partnering, quite a bit actually. And, I know obviously like there's going to be a limit on like how much you can do yourself. Right. Especially if your vision's going to be a lot bigger and like want to do, a lot more things, or like, just a lot more smaller things going on at the same time or something. Like you can only stretch so thin as a human, so obviously, if you wanted to keep growing, like that's kind of a crucial part of growing.
Oh no, especially for example, a perfect example is myself. Now, I got a brokerage, I got a couple businesses I run, and it's like, I got a few flips going at once, and I'm partnered up with all of them. It's not me, myself, and I, because I don't have the manpower to do it. There's only a certain amount of hours a day we have.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah, your profit, splits 50%. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't mind. It's better than nothing. That's the way I look at it. It's better than having nothing.
Of course. What is it they say? I think it's like 50% of a bad deal is better than 0%, or 50% of an okay deal is better than 0% of a bad deal. Something like that. So something about 50%.
Yeah. Or what I normally say is, I'd rather have $1 than have no dollar.
Yeah. We'll keep it nice and simple, just like that.
That's my way. When I talk to people who want to invest, like, hey, dude, I'd rather have a dollar if I want to use a penny. I'd rather have a penny than have no penny.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. So how is it with you were saying like you run like other businesses and stuff as well? I know, kind of delegating out some of those tasks and stuff, and kind of like stepping away from those things is probably a pretty big principle, I guess. How is that?
It's stressful.
Yeah, I bet. I'm starting to kind of like very, very beginning, like learn the ropes of it. Like I just hired like a virtual assistant, to hopefully start editing the podcast and like creating a lot better content and stuff. And it's been a little scary, man. Like it's crazy. Like just have, kind of delegating out and like stepping back a little bit and like trying to learn the ropes of like hiring and like, maintaining like a relationship there, all while still getting the vision that you want. Like it sounds pretty interesting.
No, it's definitely not an easy thing, especially when you have your way to do your type of business.
Yeah.
And you delegate it to somebody else. It's like in the beginning you're like really scared about it, but once you see everything, you actually see your business rise more. Or for example, if you do this for the podcast, you probably see your podcast views and hit higher amounts just because you're not in charge of it. You're stepping back. Your point is basically, let's get more speakers in the podcast, let's do more content, let's set her up, and then you got the back end who's doing everything else there, the editing, they'll put it up on YouTube, and yourself how long it takes to go up on YouTube. So it has its pros and cons. Obviously, you got at the beginning you're gonna be defensive about it because your brand is something you're working on. But you got to see the future. You're growing. It's gonna grow you, and it's probably gonna be better content than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty interesting too, man. Even like some of the people in my network that I'm kind of close with, like it seems like everybody is starting to kind of jump into like the virtual assistant thing, whether it's like an investor having them cold call or other people having them do like administrative stuff. And I'm like, this is nuts. Like you bring it up and it's like, oh dude, like I've been doing that for months. Like it's been crazy. Like it's just, it's nuts. And like my thing was with the podcast, literally like Sundays would be like my day to kind of edit things and get it together, for the next Monday. And like, how it is being an agent on the weekends, man. I'm like, trying to hit showings and stuff and like, have the podcast going on my computer at home. Like, it takes like 4 or 5 hours, like just because my computer's slow as shit. And like, I'm like, it's made sense to try to hire it out for a long time. But now like somebody convinced me like finally to pull the trigger on it. I'm like, all right, let's figure this thing out. Like, this is crazy. Like I want to have my Sundays back, for, from like myself and clients, and if a property comes along pretty soon, then hey, and it's been interesting to try to figure out like that dynamic, to free up time and like just what makes more sense, like doing those tasks that are they're worth a lot more per dollar, than other ones and stuff. It's interesting to kind of think about. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Yep. All right, man. Well, we could definitely do another one. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm
just getting bombarded with closing that I got going that contractor can't get in, and the buyers are moving in. So yeah, let me.
That's all right, George. I admire the hustle, my man. Hey, where on social media and stuff, can you and like the companies be found? I'll drop everything below.
So personal is going to be at Jorge.Sariego on Instagram.
Yep.
Boston One Realty and Instagram, and then just search me up, Jorge Sariego, on Facebook.
Sweet.
All right, guys, that concludes our Creating Wealth podcast episode for today. I want to thank every single person that has listened this far. It really means a lot to know that people can learn from me and with me as we build wealth together. Hopefully you could take home at least one thing from this podcast that will improve your life just a little bit. If you could, please check me out on social. That's at Kyle Curtin Real Estate on Instagram, Facebook, and I'm on Biggerpockets. Until next time, let's build together.